This is the Journey Pages podcast. I'm your host, Journey. From the last episode, we talked about a lot of good stuff. But just to keep it real to you on a personal level, I'm not a kind of brother that sugarcoats my words for my own mama. So I'm going to give it to you real. And the stuff that I might say here on this channel is probably going to get some people feathers ruffled, but that's not my business. I can't focus in on stuff like that. As I learned throughout the years or so, that some people will take words and they just can't process stuff. You can't criticize a group. You can't do anything. You can't say nothing. If you do, you hate all women or you hate all this kind of group, stuff like that. If you potentially call out your own people for whatever the reason, then you hate your own. People just go way too crazy in their own heads. So I'm a big dude when it comes to common sense, and some things just kind of irk me a little bit. So let's just kind of get into the topic of discussion I want to have today, and that is family. I love my family with all my heart and soul. But my family is just like every other family in the world. Is not perfect. We all come without issues, complications, challenges, and different things like that. But what still kills me is that now we have this kind of like this thing that's going on that people just tends to hop on a platform and just take a wild, big old dump on their mothers or their fathers because they've been through some traumatic experiences or whatever the case may be. The popular word, once again, from the last episode is called trauma. So, what I don't hear is people taking accountability for. Let's just keep it real. Not all parents are going to have the answer. There's no parent in the world that's going to have the entirety answer of life, essentially. Nobody has that. Just one person, and that's the guy upstairs. But their role is to help us and guide us. And then for us, we have to look at ourselves and take the worst of what you take the worst of what your parents are, what you feel as though they are, and you develop that and try to make it into your strength. Like if you feel as though they're not like fully consistent, if you feel as though they are not um always truthful, or they, let's just say, neglect, well, then you be more attentive, because at the end of the day, you yourself is going to eventually, hopefully one day, maybe have kids, right? So you continue to work and build yourself, right? As opposed to just pushing out the blame, pushing out the blame, pushing out the blame. Some people get through life never feeling love from their family. And I completely understand. It makes sense. But at some point, you're going to have to grow and look within yourself. And people tend, well, at least now, their answers for everything, it seems like, has to go to, let's say, therapy. And even in the dating space, a lot of people say, well, this guy, he's doing this thing, he's going to therapy. It's like, it's a bonus plus. Like, you know what? I'm going to be real. Grow up. Like, I'm like, it's hard because at the end of the day, if therapy is a thing that's a plus for you, like, the crazy part is you probably don't even bother to even ask what he's going for. Some people got some real stuff going on up in here. I'm just going to keep it real. So therapy is not always a plus. Therapy is what you do when you don't have the answers. Therapy is what you do not only because you don't have the answers, you just hit a brick wall and you don't know what to do. Therapy is when you have a serious chronic issue that you really need to focus on, but you don't trust anybody around you to give you good advice, so you end up going to therapy. Therapy is something like couples do because they're not necessarily listening to each other. They're not communicating with each other, right? And you need a neutral sources. That's what therapy is. It's a place you go to talk about your stuff, and you want somebody to hear you out from like it's a neutral position where you feel comfortable enough where there is not a crazy influence that's going to steer you in the wrong direction. That's what therapy usually is. But therapy, oftentimes, is not a thing that helps challenges you or try to build you up or help guide you. It's just so that way you feel comfortable enough to finally address the issue internally, as opposed to understanding you know what your freaking issue is. You just don't want to look at it. So you need that comfort level from somebody else that's neutral that actually allows you to finally address your issues, even though you could address it previously. But I'm not going to get into all that. I'll just leave that alone. Some people really do need it though. I'm just gonna keep it real. Some people do. But you'll be surprised if you just for a second think to yourself and just kind of process within your mind that yes, I can do it. I can focus it on me. I can do it, and I don't need to go to therapy for it. You're gonna hit a brick wall regardless, right? Because not all my thing I love to say, everybody got an answer, but don't nobody got a solution. Translation, you could come up with something that something that you can apply, but it's not really going to solve your issue. If you have something like that and then you work to apply it, don't get all kind of crazy because it doesn't work, right? At least you have a baseline to continue your growth, if you know what I'm saying. That's the purpose of it. But some people can't grasp that for themselves at all. So it still kind of like, in my opinion, blows my mind that we don't want to take accountability for ourselves. We'd rather look at somebody else and blame them. So still, you would think some people will stop twerking after they done address themselves. That does not happen. You would think a dude would get up and finally want to step up for his family. That seems to not want to happen either. You would think that you going to therapy will get your behinds out the club, but that doesn't seem to work neither. So once again, what are you really going for? And oftentimes, misery love company. So just as miserable you are, and if you're with somebody, you're probably dragging them along right with you. Here, if you're having an issue with connecting for yourself, but you somehow can magically connect with your pet poodle, like that's a whole different type of issue. It's just probably to the fact that you just don't appreciate people. You don't appreciate another human. You don't care for other humans. And, that's another thing about, let's just say, pet lovers. And a lot of people will come up with excuses for their pets like crazy, but they don't want to come up with excuses for their spouses. There are a lot of people out there that treat their animals better than they treat their spouses. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, where do I sit on a tree? A lot of people will be God first, and then their kids, or at least maybe their parents, and then somebody else be sitting God knows where. But I have a philosophy that I live by myself. Everything that's important to me is my one. I don't have that thing that a lot of other people do with their priorities, because I associate everything as my one. And if it's important to me, it will be my one. Because there's nothing in life that's going to get into my way that I won't be able to handle my responsibilities responsibly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't believe in a number. And a lot of times, especially, let's just say for maybe like a relationship, since that, people don't put themselves as a priority, or they somehow either get it mixed up within the word that's inscribed in the Bible. However it is, people just can't prioritize properly and can't handle things. So, it makes me feel on the inside personally that I have to keep working, that, this grind does not stop. I can't just all of a sudden just pay attention to only my kids and not giving any attention to my wife, or like for, let's say, your moms or your brothers or whatever the case may be, and not be there for when they need me, if that makes any sense. But I don't get the idea to just trash your family in that kind of capacity. I just don't. And even for, like, let's say when we have something like Mother's Day, we always making excuses. But it seems like the excuses seems to stop when it comes to, let's just say, a relationship standard, where people are so concerned about somebody's mother and a son's relationship with the mother, and how mothers can get jealous. Not understanding that dudes can get jealous too. Dudes can get really awkwardly possessive to the point of threats and I want to kill you and all this other nonsense. Like, people do that. There's a lot of guys that do that nonsense, but we're always quiet about that, and we put it in our minds as far as like protections. So I don't know. I would love to just kind of give you this is what it is. This is how it is. But I don't think it works that way, because the brain is just so all over the place nowadays, and people operate under fear. There's so much fear out there. But here's one thing about the mother. Let's just say she is jealous, right? But she's smart. And if you have a son, right, would you want your son to be going through some of the stuff that these women out here be talking about to be somebody's bank account? I don't think you would want to. I think common sense would be like, some of these people out here are kind of wild. Like, make sure my son's not getting taken advantage of. And you would think a lot of fathers would be, if you got a son, you would think you want to step up and you kind of let them know, like, dude, don't go bringing nothing to the table. First and foremost, make sure you check her, who she is as an individual, her soul, stuff like that. You would think people will be given good advice, the right advice, or you would think that, let's just say, if it's depending on like how the relationships in the family are, where you have your favorites, you have your middle child, stuff like that, where instead of just trying to prioritize, let's say, your favorites, that you're making sure that you're taking care of them all and giving them love equally, because those things like that can hurt as well. And sometimes somebody has a condition, and the parent might focus on that person because they have a condition and sometimes neglect everything else. And certain things can happen, which then can cause generational issues. I know that from experience. But I want to give people something important. And if you have not yet, then I would love to be able to give you the gift of forgiveness, right? The gift of understanding, the gift of letting go. It's easy. It's really easy to forgive past transgressions. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a big step forward for any individual. That's something that you have to do. This is a non negotiable. Get to the point where you can forgive, but it's fine to not forget as well. If you don't ever forgive, you can never move forward. You can always you don't have to have kumbayas or whatever it is, but you can completely be fine, but understand I know who this person is, and I don't necessarily need them in my life or want them in my life if I'm looking to do more for myself. Like I mentioned this before in the previous stream, on the previous episode, that my life started changing when I thought to myself, if I had children, a son or a daughter, could I trust people around my children, considering like who they are as people? And personally, I think to myself and I say, I can't trust this person. And even in family, blood is blood, that's fine. But there's a difference between that and having somebody that I feel like my children can be either inspired by, even though I'd rather, in a perfect case scenario, they would be inspired by their parents. But that's not always the case. But could they bring something healthy to your children? And if it's, the answer is a no, is a no. But that's a entirely separate issue than holding a grudge against something that's done and is gone and is not no longer present, if that makes any sense. I don't want to have lingering issues that still plague me within my heart and my soul, and that I can't let go. I can't understand. I can't just be like, I can't get through the days without this always on my brain. You know what I'm saying? You haven't taken that time to address it. You haven't taken that time to look at yourself. You haven't taken the time to actually build on yourself. And no disrespect to some people, therapy ain't going to be an answer. Therapy could be a crutch. It could be a pathway, but for a lot of people, therapy ain't always your answer. So when people get into a habit of saying, well, a person that's working on themselves, or a woman that's working on herself, or either or that's working on themselves and they're going to therapy, stuff that when people mention that is always like a red flag to me. Because it tells me that you have a trigger that upon activation, that's always there. It's always going to be there. I'm sorry, but it's just always going to be there. That you're going to transform into a whole completely different person. So I'm very curious as the person that who you was before you started making those therapy visits. Because some people just don't let go, no matter how long you go to therapy for. I'm just going to be real. I'd rather deal with somebody that can understand their limitations, understand who they are, understand that I have issues, I have some problems, I got to address it, but try on their own to do it first before anything else. I don't believe in couple therapy as the best thing to do. I do believe in putting forth an actual real effort into understanding your significant other, as opposed to just running off to therapy and thinking, oh, well, everything's going to get good. Like, nah, you could go to therapy and things can actually get worse. So, with any relationships, especially when it comes to, let's just say, whether it's family or even friendships, you do have to swallow up some pride. Really, you really do. Take a step back and then understand that certain things are most definitely bigger than you. That doesn't mean that you throw your feelings away or that you're not worth anything. What it means is that if you want to be able to be a part of something healthy that not only grows you within yourself, but you can also be a facilitator to somebody else's growth, well, you have to be able to meet each other halfway. Yes, I'm talking 50-50. So, if that other person don't want to, I can understand. That's fine. But getting onto a platform, throwing shades at people, it's sad to me. And when you talk about something like Father's Day and how there's so many people out there on Father's Day that loved it because their fathers weren't good, or there's some deadbeat dads out there. It's always there. Those comments always do exist, and they used to exist for a long time. It used to be, for crying out loud, that was the holiday season. Father's Day, people don't get no appreciation for nothing. Um, for Mother's Day, we got all the excuses of the world. Even if she was a deadbeat, even if she was just out there on drugs, whatever. Women go through things, you understand, but that's still your mama. We don't do that to fathers. We don't do that for them. All I know is men, young men, it's hard. Young women, it's hard too. Everybody has something that they're going through from a inner self perspective, right? From the heart, from the soul, and once again, some people forsake God, and it's just when things aren't working right, and something just always keep happening, and it's kind of consistent. You can always start by looking at your environment and changing it. So let's talk about how would you facilitate something like that. I talked about this before too. A lot of people like to follow success, but success doesn't mean happiness. There are people with all the money in the world, but they aren't happy, right? A lot around those individuals is a lot of fake presence, a lot of fake feelings, and it's not real, it's not genuine, it's not authentic, you know. So what you want to do, and take it from an unsuccessful person. I like to consider myself as one. It might depends on how you look at life, but I look at it a lot differently. To societal means I might be unsuccessful, but for me on a personal level, I'm a whole different kind of brother. I'm on a different plane. I have no problems. I'm completely happy. I have my own goals, my own responsibilities, and things I love to do, and I can't wait to do. And I'm almost there, step by step. That's life, and you need to take that mentality. But surround yourself not with yes people, not surround yourself with, let's say, successful people. Surround yourself with places that are encouraging, understanding, but also if you could find people that will push you, right, and challenge you, I think you're on the right pathway for success. What I mean also by encouraging is they love to give you positive energy. Even when you don't have it, they're always there to kind of give it, to uplift you, to cite the better things about you, and to bring that up. Because I never had that for a very very long time. I never had that until a little bit recently, and that person probably has no idea. But Get that. And if you have that, you're already starting good. Because a lot of stuff is up here, man. And to the ladies as well, a lot of stuff is up here. Stop trying to be on the inside click. You know what I'm saying? Like, forget all that. Because your pathway is your own. You know what I'm saying? And some people are going to ride with you, some people ain't. That's just how it is. But the people that will, and yeah, friends come and go, stuff like that, but at least put yourself around a space where it's not about feeling comfortable now. Because comfort doesn't mean growth. Those are two completely separate different things. Some people be in comfort, but they feel like they can grow on their own. In life, time keeps clicking. Like the time does not roll backwards. It just don't. It keeps going forward. Nothing in life you could do on your own time. I don't care. Nothing in life happens at your own time. When a man says he has a purpose for you, you're going to end up doing that purpose one way or another. Point blank. Like, some people don't believe, and that's fine. I understand. But we all have a role to fulfill. And no matter what happens, I just do not believe that if you're in a place of comfort, that you're going to do the work for yourself. You'll do it when you think of it as convenient. And when it becomes convenient for you to do it, you'll find out the hard way is there's nothing there. Right? So life is not when you deem it to be ready. Because life just going to keep throwing things at you. That's just how it is. And it comes to your point whether you want to address it or not. But life's going to go. It's going to pass you by. That's just what it is. So when people sit up there and they talk things like, oh, I'm going to live my life with no regrets. Impossible. Because you're literally absolving yourself from any past wrongdoings and any future wrongdoings that you're ever going to do. Because there's no such thing as living life with no regrets. I get sick and tired of hearing that. Everybody has a regret. That's to say that you never did wrong. I'm just going to call it for what it is. How in the world, as a human being, when one of your best traits that you have as a human is to make mistakes, that you're telling people that you're going to live your life with no regrets? You just don't give a damn. That's essentially what you're saying. No matter how you want to shape it, no matter how you want to try to flip the words to fit your agenda or to make you feel a little bit better, like, nah. And then people wonder why we have a lack of compassion in the world right now, a lack of an empathetic feeling or sympathetic. We can't necessarily appreciate people. We can't connect with them the way how we should be able to. People always are on one extreme or maybe on another extreme, and it's because we are so in our own minds and thinking our time is my own time and I'm going to do things the way how I want to do it. Can't nobody tell me nothing. The man upstairs can't tell me nothing. This is me, all me, and it don't work that way. And maybe that might not be the case for everybody, but if you ain't got no regrets, I wonder, did you ever did any growth? How can you have no regrets and made mistakes so you don't regret your mistakes? Essentially, there's a difference between regret and dwelling. I firmly believe you have to go through a dwelling process. Like, you have to reflect on it. And I'd rather say that if you want to have a situation where you say, okay, I did something wrong, and you want to look back at it, reflect, right? And you do a little bit consistently, you to a point where, okay, reflection becomes a little bit of dwelling, but you really allowing it to hit you. Because reflection doesn't necessarily mean I'm evaluating it with feeling. Reflection could just be, I'm just kind of looking at it, solving and thinking about what I could do better. But then that dwelling, in my opinion, dwelling is more like it's really hitting me here in my heart, my soul. And now that I'm also recollecting it and I'm dwelling on it and it's hit me so hard, I know I'm never going to make that mistake again. Not again. So how in the world can you think to yourself, I'm going to live with no regrets? And that just kind of tells me if somebody essentially did you wrong at some point, you wouldn't even give that person the time of day. You would probably want them to be on their knees, begging for forgiveness, Some people may not be like, oh no, we cut it good, no issues. All right, cool, no problem. Chances are you'll make a mistake way before I will because you just don't have it in your heart. You know what I'm saying? So, in order for that growth to happen, you have to at some point get to the point of reflection and dwell, but not dwell to the point where it becomes um, toxic, right? It's just so that way you feel and understanding. There's a thing about understanding how, but then feeling is very important. Man, I do I love my family with all my heart and soul. And ideally, if I think about the perfect kind of woman, because I'm sorry, guys, I am a man. But if I do think about a perfect kind of a woman, I will love her to be not like a white by label, but just by the way how she conducts herself, that she understands family is everything, right? And mine's is a much different situation. But when you think about people and from this whole situation, when you think about family and people got stuff coming out their butts, they talk about the alphas and the betas. Let me help you out with that. No self-respecting, deserving, or no self-respecting man is chirping about alphas and betas. I'm just going to throw it out there. It's nobody cares. I'm going to be real. Like if you are that kind of dude and you walk around chirping about that, chances are you're not a good man. Chances are you think you either your money is stacked up, so you think you got it all, or whatever else that may be going on, but you're not a good person. Just gonna call it for what it is. Like, just I don't ever want to be considered an alpha, better, or whatever else people got in their own mind. I have a name. It ain't nobody me, and that's fine. Nobody want to be like this. But at the same time, there are people that you'll meet. You'll be surprised. Be about your purpose. Be about your way, and you'll inspire people along the way. Some folks just need something to gravitate to just be like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Yeah. But forget all that. Look at yourself and continue to work on you. Because those people who are tripping about alphas and betas, they ain't going through your struggle, bro. Sis, they ain't going through your struggles. They're not there for it. And some things I do feel as though it's nice to try to help people elevate, but you come up with labels to then put other people down in the process that don't necessarily follow this tree. And even the stuff that I'm saying may not be for everybody, and that's fine. But you don't have to degrade another individual in order for you to make a point. Just keeping it real. To put people down in the process while you're trying to uplift others who just want to listen to you is not something that will constitute, or at least say is coming from a good place, let alone a healthy place. That's just me. It just makes sense, right? And we do that a lot in society now with all the pandering that we done for, let's just even for the corporations and people doing a lot of pandering now. And if you ever get to a point where you need the people that you done discarded and treated and never extended that hand that you extend to people that either look like you, trust me, I know exactly what that looks like. People want to take care of their own, but they never extend their hand to other individuals. In a place that it would be like a family kind of setting. People try to work hard to make a family kind of setting, but you don't extend that hand to everybody the way how you would do some of the females that be up in there, or to some of the other guys that would be up there, maybe younger, whatever. One of the things I've noticed is that if you are a person with a plan, people tend to stop talking to you because you got the things that you already want. They can't necessarily control you. They can't dictate to you what to do. They can't talk to you because they know you'll talk back at them, right? They know they can't push you a certain way. So they like people that they can control, dictate to. And there's some others like that don't understand this. They can't process this because they are beneficiaries. So when I say somebody ain't S, the S word, when I say somebody ain't, I'm dead serious when I say that. And it's the truth. Because you don't go out and make sure that the people underneath you are all taken care of. And there's a reason why if there's such a disparity in, let's just say, a particular kind of group, it's not hard to figure out what's actually going on. All you got to do is get down in there willing to talk. You can see certain things. So that's why when I'm saying this is to help people understand that you can't be in a space that isn't necessarily encouraging towards you. If you find people have an issue with talking to you, or they're trying to get other people to go and talk to you for them, like, it's all good, big. If it's a career that you desire and that is happening to you there, now that one's an issue. You're probably going to have to step up and start addressing things, yada yada, because you actually want to be there. But for others who do not want to be there, it will probably be within your best interest to just chill for a little bit, grab what you can as far as you build up your money, invest in the places that you really want to invest into, and just start building off from there. And for a lot of dudes out there, since supposedly a different graphic is the smartest, they got the most degrees, that they're doing fine, they don't need this, they don't need that. Well, let them have everything. I'll say that. I think the flex today is to build your own. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of folks out there tripping that they got their own businesses and different things, so that's fine. But find a place where, in my personal opinion, where you can't be replaced. There's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with that. You have a lot of idiots out there tripping about people who work the 9 to 5, stuff like that. Yes, there is. You will want to. It's not about all that. It's about finding a place that you feel comfortable with, that you can live the life that you want to live. Some people like having it. Some people don't want all the drama that, other stuff that kind of comes around with having your own. I only want my own because I'll be damned if another soul tell me what to do. I'm not really comfortable with that. I'm a man. I'm very, very capable, and I was never down for people telling me what to do. I'm just not that type of person. Like I don't like to conform to any kind of like, let's say, culture or anything. I just like to be in my own space and do my own thing, because any place I ever gone to, I can see the issues right off the bat. Like, I could just see it, and it's not like you have an issue or they have an issue. It's just more like you could just see with your eyes, and you see more than sometimes I see more than what I want to see. And some of the things that are just like simple and people don't want to do it is because it's just there's something wrong with some folks. Something wrong. And when people get comfortable and they get to know get to know somebody, and they'll make excuses and stuff like that. But somebody else's experience be different. And yeah, you don't need to know everybody's name. That's fine. But that don't stop you from saying hi. You good? You need anything? Stuff like that. I'm here for you. Small stuff like that will go a long way, and that's never really consistent. So that's just me. I'd rather have something that's my own. So in hard times or anything else, if I ever do fail, that's all up on me. I'm not going to be sitting up there waiting for at least word coming from upstairs if I'm let go here or whatever the case may be, yada yada. I'd rather just have something on my own. And that's what I always wanted. The question for me was, how can I go about doing it? And if you're that person that's in that position, especially if you're younger, for me, it took a while for me in order to figure things out where I want to go, and I'm building towards it. But don't let the world pressure get to you saying, well, you have to, if you're 30s or your late 30s, you should have X, Y, and Z. Screw those suckers. Because those suckers they were not with you. They weren't with you when you were at their lows. They have no business trying to dictate to you where you need to be at in your highs or where you need to be at now. Because they don't care about you and they don't care about your success. And you know it. So why folks really need to stop engaging with that type of content? Stop engaging with it. And when you stop engaging with that nonsense, there's a whole lot of changing that'll go down. But a lot of things that happen in society is because we allow it to. We don't address ourselves. We have an issue with separating the individual from the entertainer. So a lot of people want celebrities to be like offhand raising their children, and they don't want to put the work in themselves. I do believe there are some good celebrities out there. Like, for instance, I think LeBron is a good person. He's conducted himself pretty nice. I would say he's fine. But some other people aren't. Some people aren't. The last thing I want is my daughter to be trying to follow a Keke Palmer or a Cardi or honestly, I wouldn't even want her following Beyonce. I'm just going to keep it real. it's a hard thing, and I most definitely would not want my daughter to be following Mariah Carey. Like, if you're gonna follow somebody, I would say follow them for, let's say you aspire to be a singer or something like that, or something like that. All right, cool, no problem. You aspire to be basketball or certain things like that, but try to make sure with your kids that that's where it stops, and try to have them have that. Technically, in a perfect world, you will want your children to aspire to be a better, let's say, man than you were, or a better woman than what you were, like whatever the shoe this may fit. But if you're looking at somebody that, maybe outside the house, that they also come as good, genuine, authentic people, not from doing the charities and stuff like that, but from how they speak, you know, authentically, like who they are 100% all the time. So it's hard to find people that are real and 100% like that, in my personal opinion. Sometimes I could go on the bad end, and other times it's on the good end. So it's different, but we have to start taking responsibility and accountability, and just be there, be more predominant figures for our children in society. And I'm sorry about, I'm an aspiring father. I'll just keep it that way, and I'm very, very interested into the ways of the world, and trying to understand better how can I be a better potential father for when I do have a child or children. So take it slow. Take it slow. Think, practice, be in practice, um, and hopefully the answers will be able to come. That's my 2 cents. Because all the stuff that's going on within our school system now, folks trying to teach, trying to put stuff in elementary schools for, let's just say, I don't know, like sexual education, trying to like teach, like, these kids should be doing nothing but trying to steal cookies out the cookie jar and going out and playing, and just playing games. That's all they should be doing. And we trying to put so much stuff to little kids, and trying to, in my opinion, groom early. And I'm sorry, but I'm a type of brother. I'm a cool dude, but when it comes to home, I'm a whole different type of brother. And no, nobody's going to convince me anything different. Here's a fun fact for a lot of folks out there who believes these are healthy things for children. Here's a fact. You want to try to let's just say manipulate the mind, because these kids are, when a kid come out the womb, it's essentially null, right? You can't, under any circumstances, dictate on a pathway for a child by trying to teach them a certain kind of topic, or whatever the case may be, to teach people that these other people are normal, and this is the process, and all this other stuff like that. If the household itself, the place that they go home to, the place they spend the vast majority of their time at, has people that are racist, bigots, and stuff like that, there's a much, 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 much higher chance that kid's gonna come out the same that way, period, regardless of whatever happens in the school system. I do believe it's nice to teach, but not that young. So I would rather see stuff in the school system being taught, let's just say, when you're like in the middle school and you're heading over to high school, and then, okay, conversations can then start building up. I don't know if they even still do like sex ed anymore. I don't know. But it'll be nice if kids can get their cabbage patch and be able to take them home and see what it's like to raise a child, so they can understand what their parents went through. Stuff like that. Um, but I think there needs to be a much stronger conversation, and a much stronger pushback towards some of the stuff that's happening in our country. I'm a cool dude, but I ain't no fool. And I think certain things should be left alone. Let kids be kids, and just everything else good, but just let kids be kids. I'm always going to be on that. I'm sorry. Um, I just don't know where the mindset comes from these things, and it's not to knock people in particular, but some things is just like, it just feels like all kinds of like, no, no. And even when you talk about, let's say, identification, she, him pronouns, stuff like that, I don't care. It is what it is. I mean, excuse me, it is what it is. I don't care for pronouns. It doesn't bother me, but I just don't care for it. Like, I got a name. I'm a brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm a him. I'm a he all day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a dude. I don't care. I'm not trying to hear people trying to call me a cis person or what. I don't know what all this nonsense is. I don't even bother to look it up. I just like to be known as a straight black brother. All right, so I'm gonna throw it this way. I'm a straight black American urban ass Jew. That's it. I'm hood. I'm hood. I'm gonna call it what it is. Right. I speak I speak three languages. I speak English to pretty okay. I speak hood and I speak common sense. That's it. That's all I speak. So I just think that, man, we got a whole bunch of stuff going on right now, and I'd rather get to a point where we can get back to a little bit of common sense. I also do believe in teaching things like, I wouldn't say, I think the issue with critical what race theory has been the conversation around it. But no disrespect. We need to start teaching like our real history because some history people don't want to go over. But I think there's a time to do it, and I'd rather wait till minds develop a little bit more because there's some graphic stuff out there. Like I don't know if I would be comfortable with my, let's just say, kindergartner looking at a movie like The Amistad. I don't think I'll be comfortable with that. There used to be, I used to go to this one spot for school, and I got a chance to meet a lot of kids there, and some of them were had some deficiencies and stuff like that. And there was this one lady I knew, and she was Spanish, but she was gorgeous. She was gorgeous, and she had like these emerald eyes, and it was just like everything when I was like a model. And she used to get on my nerves sometimes because she always used to try to play fussy and stuff like that. We had a little thing going on, but I remember we saw that movie, and I saw her like in tears and stuff like that, and it just kind of hit me a little bit because it was just it is a powerful movie. But I think sometimes we have to understand, especially as men, certain things we kind of more so accustomed to because of what how the way the world treats us, and it's to set us up for in the future. But so, it could be really emotional for some ladies, and it could be emotional for some other guys out there as well too. So and when you're like, let's say in a teen, and people get emotional on that, I can't imagine the kind of damage it could do to like little minds. You know what I'm saying? So I think certain things are healthy, but I would rather see something else where if we're going to do and teach people how to treat each other, I would love it to be in sports. Like get little kids and have them play games together, give them basketballs and baseballs, and teach them how to work together, stuff like that. And don't put the same groups together for crying out loud. Like let the boys play with the girls, let the girls play with the boys, and let the girls play with girls and boys play with boys, and you just have teams and people do their thing and just enjoy sports. Like sports is a wonderful way to build character and understand that the person, even though they look different from you, are no different from you. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see that. And then as we move along and they get a little older and understanding, okay, now we can start teaching, you know, our history and what America is, what it was, and what people still deal with today. And some people will kind of hurt my nerves a little bit when they say, "Well, you trying to teach a certain group to hate themselves?" Like, nah, like it don't make no sense. But hold up, real quick. Okay, so sometimes, and I can't stand this. I can't stand this when people do this. They'll listen to something on the news, and if it has something to do with, let's say, like a crime or something with a black person, somebody would then associate that crime with the entire group as opposed to the individual. I want to say this just for all colors, period, including my own. To individuals who have a kind of mindset that they see things on the news, especially if it's kind of like consistent, like real talk, start associating bad activity with the individual and not a group. I don't think you will like it too much if I started associating all Mexicans one way, all Spanish people one way, all Filipinos one way, all black people one way, all white people one way. Like it don't work that way because everybody is just different. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's different. And it blows my mind in 2023 that some people still can't process this stuff. Oh, so that, man, I'm talking about so much. Hold up, real quick. So I really do want to talk about passport bros. I want to talk about that. But you know what? I'm gonna keep that for the next episode. I'm gonna keep that for the next episode. We're gonna do that. Listen, I'm very, very interested in having that conversation. And I can't wait for that. But just the topics of family, the topics of like our school systems, the topics of how we can be better for the people that we love, stuff like that. Like I'm all down for certain things. I'm all down for it. And it's true that, there's a lot of people out there, their pathway is different, but they're no different from us. But I want to reiterate before I get off to people that are a believer and worshiper of God, you follow that pathway. Remember, we're not here to judge. Only one person is the judger. We're not. We can't step into that boundary line because at that point now we become out of purpose. We can't allow that to happen. Some people also from outside, if you're not necessarily in it, people love to look at pastors whenever some pastor from God knows what makes a mistake. All right, so let's do it this way. There are people that preach, they don't practice. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it may be under God's roof and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, what we do here is our own. Your will is your own. Your actions are that of your own, and everybody will be judged on those things. That's it. Stop associating a wrongdoing of somebody who either practices that don't preach to like the whole freaking religion. It's dumb. It's buffoonery. It's ridiculous. It's no damn different than saying, you're looking at something like on Fox or CNN, this black person done committed a crime or whatever. All black people are like this. Some people are just dumb, damn right dumb and ignorant. And I'm going to take a little bit hood because the proper word is ignorant. The hood word is ignorant. And a lot of folks flat out ignorant. And some people know exactly what I'm talking about. So I've never been that type of person who associates a group under this kind of tree. I don't. I will never will. I always associate an action to that specific individual. I always have and I always will. That's just how it is and that's how it should be. That's why I can accept people, no matter your color, be cool with you. I got no problems because that's life. Sometimes your best support is in places you'll never thought possible. And if you live it and you believe in things like preservation, because the people out there do it, preservation to me is no damn different from bigotry. I'm happy that people like their own, but you should never discourage others who want to get out and look in other places. And I think a lot of times if people actually try, you might just grow. So, that's why I can love somebody who can be Filipino. I can love somebody who can be Spanish. I can love somebody who can be white. I can love somebody who can be Mexican. I can love somebody who can be Puerto Rican, Indian, Indonesian, Cuban. I don't care what country you come from. I'm going to keep it real because that's who I am, my heart and my soul. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to meet somebody else. I would love to have my household represent that. So when I'm out here and I'm hitting the dating scene or I'm trying to get back into it because I haven't really put myself out there properly like that, when I hit it, that's one of the big things I'm looking for. If she's a person that can get out from that mindset of preservation, you know what I'm saying? And actually believe in us and want our household to represent more than just, like just a specific color, if they put it that way. Like I want us to be good people and I want to foster good. I want to have a good, nurturing, wonderful family. And that's what I'm after. And I want somebody that can help me make that a reality. I'll put it that way. And I think a lot of people need to do that, at least start doing that. So that would be it for me right now. But next time, I'm probably going to talk about the Passport Bros and how I got to that whole process. So that's going to be an interesting topic. But until then, make sure you take care of yourselves and each other. And I hope to catch you guys on the next one. Later, guys. Take care. This is Journey Pages Podcast, and I'm your host, Journey. Enjoy. See you on the next one.